Blade Runner 2049, directed by Denis Villeneuve, starring Ryan Gosling, Harrison Ford, Jared Leto and Robin Wright. Before I get into the review, I just want to share a funny moment. Went to see the film with a friend recently and he turns to me and goes, "Wesley Snipes isn't in this one, is he? He was in the last one, wasn't he?" And then I turned to him, I'm like, Wesley Snipes? And then you just see the moment of realization, oh, he was thinking about Demolition Man of all films. Anyway, just thought I'd share that. That was a funny moment. Couldn't stop laughing at myself for the first couple of minutes of the film. The film is a follow-up sequel to the original 1982 Blade Runner. In this film, however, it's set 30 years in the future from the events of the first one, where replicants are now illegal. However, the old Nexus 8 replicants, which were the replicants from Blade Runner 1, are still illegal, and the Blade Runner's job is to basically hunt them down. So the story basically starts off where Blade Runner K, played by Ryan Gosling, is hunting down a replicant. In the process of doing so, he uncovers a mystery, which then leads to more mystery and more clues, which leads him further down the rabbit hole, which we're then pulled into as the audience. I have to say, I was very, very impressed with this film. I was looking forward to it for a long time. It was on my list of most anticipated films for 2017. Now, I was a bit apprehensive going into the film because my expectations were quite high, even though I did try to keep them level. Blade Runner is one of my favourite films. So when I heard there was a sequel coming out, obviously I was getting very excited. However, with some of the films that have come out this year that I was looking forward to have disappointed. So I was trying to keep my expectations grounded. And fortunately, this film surpassed my expectations. Leaves a lot of questions. I'm still thinking about a lot of things that went on in the film. I will have to go back and give it another watch in the cinema before it's gone. I know I'll definitely be buying it on Blu-ray and re-watching it for years to come. I would highly recommend going to see the film. Cinematography in the film was fantastic. The cinematographer Roger Deakins deserves an award. I have not seen such a beautiful film for a long, long, long time. It just creates that all-expansive world that the original film set up and built on it again. Only this time it's more of kind of a rustic, oxidized dystopian future, whereas the original was a bit of a grimy, wet, kind of neon-filled future. Whereas, as I said, this one still has that neon look to it, but it just seems more kind of oxidized. And again, this whole expanded world was just created, and you know, you feel like you're part of the story almost. You can be pulled into the world, and that for me was just such a real captivating part of the film. The acting was really, really good. All cast members really brought it to the table. All cast members really put in a great performance. There was one thing, now it's more of maybe a personal critique or something I've noticed, but Ryan Gosling's eyes, when you notice it, you can't unnotice it. His eyes just seem to flicker a lot when he's staring at someone. Now, it's a thing that some actors do. It's when an actor is looking at another actor on screen, they should be looking at one eye or the other. However, they tend to be looking at both eyes, and that causes the eyes to flicker, and it's more noticeable on a cinema screen. Unfortunately, I spotted it and I couldn't unspot it. But other than that, I thought the performance he gave was great, and the supporting cast, everybody brought a great performance to the film. The soundtrack by Benjamin Wallfisch and Hans Zimmer really paid homage to the original, but also brought its own elements to it. It really felt Blade Runner-esque, but also more of its own character at the same time. It's a real kind of, there were times where there were these thundering booms, and then there'd be moments where you, from watching the original, you'd almost be expecting kind of this, you know, soft background track to accompany a scene where there'd be just silence in this film. There'll be moments where there's just absolute silence, and the character, you know, whether it's Kay or whoever is you know, taking in the scene, they're thinking about something, and it's just pure silence. The pacing was slow, but slow for a purpose. It delivered the story in a natural way. If the pacing was any faster, it would take away from the story. Now, some people may not agree and say, oh God, the film is too slow, too boring, or they couldn't hold their attention. But as I said, if it were any faster, it would just take away from the story. The CGI as well, there was a moment in that and I was very, very, very impressed with the CGI. I won't say what it is, but it's towards the end, and when you see it, it may divide opinions, but it's been done before recently enough, but this time it's slightly noticeable as CGI. However, the detail is so good that it almost looks real, and that just really, really impressed me. One thing I noticed about the film itself, again, I mentioned, the expanded world and how, you felt like you were part of this open world, was the technology. The technology in the film can still do some very kind of fantastical sci-fi-esque things. It still looks very old-fashioned, such as there's CRT screen sitting in the background. One thing I didn't see was the neon umbrellas. I really liked that from the original film. But then, as I said, I found myself comparing this to the original too many times until at one point I just said to myself, look, stop comparing. It's a different film. This is its own thing. And that's actually what I did find about this film. You could actually go in and watch this without having to have seen Blade Runner, and this film would very much stand on its own 2 feet. The film being 2 hours 43 minutes long may seem a bit long, but the story is delivered at just the right pace where you don't find yourself becoming bored. You're still captivated, it pulls you right in, the acting is there, everything, all the ingredients are there to keep you pulled in and to keep you entertained for those 2 hours 43 minutes. You won't walk away from the film thinking, oh God, that was a long drag. You'll walk away, there'll be questions to ask, there'll be things to talk about, there'll be things to admire, such as, the colours, the whole spectacle of it. So I'd highly recommend going to see this film. You'd enjoy it. Thanks for taking the time to watch my review. If you do want to keep up to date with any new videos coming out, hit the subscribe button below. I'd very much like to also hear your thoughts on the film, so maybe drop a comment. What do you think of the film? What do you think of the review? Have you got anything to add? What did you think of it? And also, if you did like the video, I'd very much appreciate if you could click a like. And I guess I'll see you for the next review. Cheers.